Emek, a beacon of Torah and values, shining its light upon the valley and the world. For 60 years, Emek has transformed the valley one student at a time, a mission that continues to this very day. Tonight, we pay tribute to 5 sets of honorees that have helped to shape Emek into an elite academy and a robust Torah institution.
Rabbi Shifman wakes up at about 4:30 every morning and prepares for his Daf Yomi class, which he gives at 6:30 in the morning. And he goes from there to daven and from there to school. After school, he has a learning session, and then, depending on the time of year, either comes home first or goes straight to daven first and then comes home for dinner. Sometimes later in the evening, he's either giving a class or some other obligation meetings, board meetings, other things like that. So he doesn't sleep a lot.
We had been encouraged by our friends, the Cohens, by Rabbi Gordon, that we should go and visit Emek. And so we went, we sat down with Rabbi Stepan, we sat in his office. This was his last year.
Ira sent his first children here 19 years ago. I was there to witness it. And the way that Ira and Amy, the Leibowitz family, has grown.
Our friend Gary Finder.
He started talking to you right away about the board.
Invited me to come. I should come and sit and listen in on a board meeting. When the meeting starts, he goes around the room. He says, "We have a new board member here, Ira Leibowitz." Okay, I didn't know that I was a board. I didn't know that was happening.
The first person I actually met in California when we came was Ira. Ira, together with Michelle Hirsch, they were the committee that were empowered by the board to go out and find a head of school.
Then the Great Recession hit, and things were very difficult, and I wound up becoming president really at the very tail end of that.
We saw a lot of families leave. We saw families that came from Israel go back to Israel who had a very difficult financial time here.
Perhaps 70 or 80% of families that just had tremendous financial problems through no fault of theirs.
Start working with the PTA, then became PTA president just a year after being at the school, and I just last year finished my 17th year.
Areas of focus was to bring on a head of school to lead the school, because up until then they did not have that type of leadership.
Interviewed several different candidates, and Rabbi Shifman came in and he fit the bill, right? Check the boxes, as they say.
When Rabbi Shifman first started, there was definitely a vision and a 10-year plan that he was on, he was trying to follow, and I'm proud to say that today when you review his 10-year plan, much of what he had said was going to happen has actually happened.
In the past 10 years, the growth has been exponential, has grown beyond anybody's wildest dreams, and not just from the student body's perspective, from the stability, whether it's academic, community, financial.
One of the things that is really important to all of us on the administration is making sure that we build up our teachers and really make them feel good, have a positive culture, and make them feel that school is more than a school, that it's a family.
We have the most incredibly supportive admin team. I mean, they are really cutting edge. They believe in education. They believe in professional development.
Rabbi Shifman's leadership style is one of empowerment of others, not just taking charge of everything on his own. He understands the need to run a school and to be a head of school. You need to have your team strong and empowered.
He did have a vision of reaching those higher numbers, and Baruch Hashem, today we're close to 800.
Oh, Sharon started first grade at Emek, and I think what attracted us to Emek was the diversity of the families that go to Emek. It's not just one specific type.
Vardit Aharonoff, even today, is probably one of the most pivotal board members in terms of what she brings to the table.
In order for Emek to balance its budget, there's a good amount of money that needs to be fundraised, about $1 million, because Emek gives a lot of tuition assistance to families.
Tremendous mastery over the finances of the school, serving on our finance committee for many years.
And she always tells me the numbers don't lie, they tell a story.
They do.
Well, one of the things that we talked about on the board for many years is that the school really needed an endowment fund.
Knowing you have that reserve there, not using it, but knowing that it's there, if you ever need it, it makes you feel good.
Daniel definitely worked on marketing Emek to what it is today. He changed the public perception of the school.
I'd like to welcome everyone to this momentous day.
During the summer preceding the new term that I was going to start, of all of the things that people don't really know or talk about or should know about Emek. And so my mission, my objective really was, well, let's bring all of these good things to the surface.
Together with Steve Roden, who was consulted and was on the board at the time as well, they basically rebranded the school, creating rules and regulations as to how we're supposed to market ourselves.
But if you look at our logo, you see that a lot of thought was put into it. It's a menorah, it's books, it's a flame, and it has a lot of messages. And
that it was really Danny Aharonoff who said, yeah, we have a brand, now we need to shine the light on the brand.
Opening hearts and inspiring minds.
And the mascot today is the Emek Eagles. So that's definitely something that was not around when I was at Emek.
And Danny identified Ben and said, here's the guy who is going to be able to take on the presidency.
Just like we were invited, we invited them as our guests to the Emek Trustee dinner. We had them sit with us just like we were invited to sit, I think it was with Amy and Ira.
When you're rolling, it's very easy to take your eye off the ball and to get complacent, but Ben was always
pushing. Kept his foot on the gas, for sure.
Transforming our playgrounds. It was under the leadership of Ben Rabibo that we had a beautification project which required upgrading our campus and the playgrounds, both at the early childhood and at our big campus.
Emek is definitely a topic of conversation in our home, most likely every night of the week. I mean, it's something that we eat, breathe, and live.
Sandra Rabibo is one of the hardest workers and efficient workers I've ever seen in my life.
Before you have hung up the phone, whatever you needed was already done.
When a new student is coming to look at Emek, Sandra Rabibo is the first face that they see, the first person that they meet. She takes them on a tour of the building, and she's wonderful for this particular role because she has such a pleasant outlook. Everything is just calm and relaxed with her, and that's a really nice way to start off.
Sandra comes home every night very passionate about the school, about the parents that she's met, about the lives that she's changed, and it's really motivated us to really give everything that we've got towards Emek. She cares about the students, she hears about the financial hardships, she understands the pains that some of these families are going through.
There are several families in the school that I guess Sandra has taken under her wing that have had horrible, horrible hardships.
I lost my house and everything in a fire. I wouldn't have gotten through that period of my life if not for the people that work at this school. They were so supportive and so kind.
I do believe that Emek is a Kiruv organization in the fact that, we don't turn away kids because they're not Shomer Shabbat. We're not a homogeneous school. We don't discriminate or judge parents when they walk through our doors. We welcome everybody with open arms. We teach Ahavat Yisrael to our students. It's something that's very important to Rabbi Shifman.
See now the children that come to Emek, sometimes they come from a background that's not the way I grew up, but Emek embraces them and just takes them in and teaches them from a young age and hopes that as they get older and as they grow up, they embrace the Yiddishkeit and love for what Emek has taught them.
Even the students, they just know how to, engage a new student in the class.
Seeing movement, seeing growth, and recognizing that itself is something to celebrate.
Emek has been transformative for our family. From where we were
to see the success of your kids who have gone through that education, that have gotten those building blocks.
Exactly, from enrolling our oldest son at Emek in first grade to him learning at the Mir today to having a grandson that just celebrated a bris and a pidyon a ben is just, it is transformative. It's unbelievable.
I actually love having 4 boys. I grew up with only brothers, and for me, I wouldn't change it in the world.
It's nonstop energy, basketball, tennis, swimming, jumping, trampolines, broken bones, hopefully not too often. Emek was that perfect product. It gave the children, from what we saw, the ability to be a mensch, love of Yiddishkeit, love of Eretz Yisrael, at the same time being normal.
So Ari unfortunately became board president during COVID, so definitely not a time that was easy for Emek.
He basically helped me through this most difficult time, the COVID period. The decisions, we were on the phone every day discussing what are the impacts that our decisions are going to be made.
Ari and Nechama have been instrumental in the school making it through.
Our teachers had to be trained in virtual learning, distance learning, and then once we opened up in the fall, our calendar was different. We had to create staggered drop-offs and pickups. We had to create a screening process.
So much was spent on hand sanitizer and gloves and Clorox wipes that we couldn't even find, but we kind of dug them up and found them.
PPP, which was extremely expensive, was a major financial burden on the school. There was no budget, there was no holding back. It was whatever it takes. Partitions, the plastic, the gloves, the hand sanitizers, the thermometers, extra staff, IT, whatever it took.
They handled it, getting our kids back into the classroom safely. Is that I think all the parents realized how much work is put into a school year. Forget about a regular school year, especially a COVID school year.
You never heard the word no. Whatever it took, Rabbi Shifman and the staff would do.
I'm one from the original founders of Emek Hebrew Academy. I'd like to speak to the students of today. To please, if you want to grow up to be somebody, to be something, learn well.
My sister, who's 6 years older than me, she first attended Emek in 6th grade, and there was a first experience of Jewish education and wanted to go to a Jewish school. So financially we weren't able to, and Saul sponsored my sister, amongst many other children, to attend a Jewish school, and from there was the catalyst to her going to Beis Yaakov.
It's very appropriate that the new Beis Medrash and the Aron Kodesh, I know you were very passionate about wanting to dedicate that in honor of Saul Teichman because of your personal impact that he had had on your family. Saul would have appreciated it. And I know that the truth of the matter is that your stories are the stories of thousands of others. You know, what drove Saul was he really felt driven to make sure that the next generation would have those opportunities. When we talk about the Emek experience and transformation, it's not black and white. It's about the journey, the growth that we experience, who we impact upon, and how they impact upon us.